Bonjour tout le monde. When speaking in any language other than your native language, especially when you're at a lower level, you'll naturally have situations that leave you confused, really stressed out, and pretty much ready to go hibernate with Netflix, questioning what the heck you're doing with your life. Just me? No. It's only normal. And sometimes this happens more often than not, especially in the following scenarios. So whether you're a beginner in French, you're fluent, or somewhere in between the two, certain situations will still send shivers down your spine. And if you're curious what those situations are, we're going to get right into it. And as always, keep in mind we all start from zero, and everything I mention here does get better with practice and time. So let me know down below in the comments if you can relate. And with that, we're going to get right into number one. Okay, number one, talking to kids. Now, conversing with little pint-sized members of our society can be stressful in your native language for a whole host of reasons. But when the child's still learning how to speak properly in your non-native tongue, it's 10 times worse. You know, kids, they obviously don't know what it's like to be a foreigner or learn a new language. They're still learning their first one. So obviously they don't make it a point to speak clearly or to speak up and enunciate. So what if you don't understand a little kid? Well, they're not able to pronounce the sounds of the French language correctly yet or use proper grammar. So if you're a little shaky in French to start with, speaking to kids can really make you just want to run and hide and avoid them entirely. But you're not going to be the only one having trouble, so at least you're not alone. And they might have trouble understanding why you have an accent and why you make mistakes as an adult, because maybe you're the first foreigner they've ever encountered. Luckily for me, our niece and nephew are now old enough to be understood. Of course, they speak well. They're one's in middle school, one's in elementary. So my only other interaction with kids on a regular basis is always in the park with my dog Dagny. And, you know, they come towards us with their hands outstretched, you know, wanting to pet the dog, you know, est-ce que je peux caresser votre chien, s'il vous plaît? You know, and I, of course, like even in the beginning, I learned that one right away. Oh, may I please pet your dog? So even if they have a little bit of a speech issue or they're not speaking clearly, I know what this means when they come at you. But okay, number two, and again, this one goes for any foreign language, but there's just something about talking on the phone and not seeing a person face to face that makes communication so much more difficult. You know, the context is everything, even in our native tongue. So without that body language or without facial expressions, words are just words. If you're not tuned in and you can't pick up on anything else going on, telephone conversations can be so nerve-wracking. I would avoid them at all costs, you know? And we really don't realize how much context counts for until we realize it's taken away and we're trying to handle something important in our second language. And really, when I first came to France, I'd do everything possible to avoid talking on the phone. I'd do a chat online, I'd send emails, but you know, you have to just throw yourself in. It's gotten so much easier in time. And now, you know, the pharmacy, the pizza place, they know me as soon as they hear my voice, and it's no issue, you know, almost 10 years in. But, you know, in the early days, talking on the phone was so stressful, and I kind of look back now that I have some distance from it, and I just consider that struggle a blessing, because these days we all wear masks, and it hinders comprehension. So when you're speaking to someone with a mask in French, it could be just as bad as talking on the phone because you can't see the person's expression. You don't even know if they're talking to you sometimes. And I certainly don't envy people who just arrived in France in COVID times and have to navigate French language learning as a beginner, all masked up. It's not easy, so I feel ya. Okay, number three, trying to write down someone's phone number on the first try. You know, picture yourself out, or you're at an office, or you're somewhere and someone gives you their phone number. You have to write it down. You know, someone gives you their number on the phone. And French phone numbers really do make you want to run and hide. They're composed of 10-digit pairs, so 222. Usually cell phones start with 06 or 07. And you say each pair as a single number. So you would say 46 or 22, not 42 or whatever it is. You know, you say it as a pair. 06, 22, things like that. And the problem is that if you're not familiar with French, a number like 82 is said literally 422. So 80 is 80, 20 times 4 equals 80, and then 2 or 2. So if you're trying to decipher it in your head, you hear 06, okay, 06, and then you hear 80 and think 4 or 20, and then you realize it's 80, but by the time you figure out that it's 80, 80, they've already said 2 more digits that you've completely missed, then you panic, you're behind, you have to ask them to repeat. And even now, I always double check myself. I listen to voicemails a few times when people use anything over 70, you know, just to, when they leave their phone number, if they have like a 71, 81, 92, just to make sure that I get it right, because the French number composition is different than it is in English. And you really got to listen for the 82 or the 70. And the best way to combat this is to practice numbers. Just give yourself random phone numbers to write down. Practice saying phone numbers you see online, or just make them up just so you get used to hearing them and writing them down. Practice makes perfect. All right, next up, when speaking to someone with an accent that's really heavy. Accents aren't always easy to understand, especially if you're not used to them. And of course, it depends on the person and their level in the language, and how good you are with accents. But what happens now when I encounter someone with a super heavy accent, I do okay. I know I'm going to be apologizing a lot and saying, it's me, it's not you, I'm sorry. What was that? When I first came to France, my French was like low intermediate, but I was much better at reading and writing, not speaking or understanding. And my landlady had a really heavy Italian accent that even Tom, my husband, had trouble with. And there's also a Portuguese lady in the park that I speak to. She's so nice, but it's very, very difficult to understand her, So sometimes two foreigners speaking a common language is easy, and other times it's really difficult. And I personally don't find Americans speaking French easier to understand than a French person speaking French. So yeah, when you encounter someone with an accent, it really tunes your ear in to listening to what's being said and to focus in. So it can be a good thing because you're tuned in. Okay, next, tell me if you've been here, done that. This one's big, and it still happens. When you realize mid-sentence, you have to use a verb you have no idea how to conjugate in the tense you need. So if you know anything about French, there are so many tenses and irregular verbs that get a little hairy if you don't use them much. You're feeling good, you're proud of yourself after a few years here, you're speaking about something semi-complicated, but you've got this, and then bam, it hits you. You get midway through your sentence, and you realize you have no idea how to conjugate the verb you need in that tense. So what do? Do you, one, guess and hope the person understands you? Do you just straight up say, excuse me, I have no idea how to conjugate this verb? Or do you scramble in your head? Number 3, this is what I do. You scramble in your head to kind of rework the sentence using words that you know. It's like a little dance. But it's up to you, but good for you for being ballsy enough to try. That is how we learn. And yeah, once you kind of master the imparfait, then you get into the subjonctif, the conditionnel, and you got your, si j'avais su, j'aurais dû, je devrais faire, je vais voir, you have all your tenses. Then one hits you and you're like, oh my gosh, I have no idea how to say that. And then you get to the part of the sentence, you're like, damn, and you have to make that decision. For me, I always try to do the grammar dance and rework the sentence, but there's no shame in that. You're learning, right? All right, everyone, thank you so much for watching today. I had a question recently asking what I say at the beginning of my videos, and I'm just saying hello, everyone. Bonjour tout le monde. Bonjour tout le monde. Hello, everyone. It literally means all the world, but means everyone. So I hope that helps out any of you out there who don't speak French and were curious about that. Also, be sure to check out my links down below. I have a free newsletter, some merch, things I love, and more. And also, I recently did a tasty video from FAVES, a French producer of cheese and little desserts, all kinds of amazing things that I'll link above and below. It's been a project that's been in the works for over a year, and I'm so proud of it. I hope you love it, and you'll take a look. So let me end this one here. I'd love to hear from you down below what things about learning French make you want to run and hide. And as always, I'll see you right back here on We in France soon. Salut!